Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we will be talking about the top magic tanks. I can't really say it's the top 10 because I could not necessarily find enough units, and generally, like, for, just starting out, I'm just going to be covering like UR only. I mean, like, I've pretty much kept the same theme going on throughout these videos, but nonetheless, we'll be talking about these characters, and definitely be sure to, support the channel, like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. And without further ado, we will be starting with Agrias. And I would have to say she's one of those characters that have kind of just been, I mean, she's a part of the Final Fantasy Tactics, ordeal. We know how War of the Visions, I guess, does not like to run this event for some reason. But nonetheless, she is a really interesting character. Some of the things I think definitely are the spirit increase that she gets off of her mastery ability. The single target resistance is also extremely good. Her TMR is actually pretty good as well. I'm gonna try and do actually a better job of just kind of skimming over, because I feel like the other video kind of just took way too much time, especially like the editing process. It was terrible. So I'll try to do a better job. Nonetheless, we're looking at Knight's Honor, decrease in AP consumption always. And that's something else when it comes down to like who I'm actually like going to put on these lists as far as like, tanks go. They have to have this buff. They have to be able to increase their chance of being targeted without having to go into some kind of skill or some kind of buff or something like that. Like, this is extremely important. And the main reason why I do it this way is because I feel like maybe you want to have that alteration of movement as far as your enemies, like where they're going and stuff like that. The main thing is definitely, like I said, trying to disrupt maybe positioning, maybe how they buff themselves. Just in general, you want them to start migrating toward the tank. So outright having this skill, like I said, is extremely important. If they can, get the buff off, that's really cool. But at the same time, like I said, this is definitely numero uno. And outside of Knight's Honor, you definitely want to go into Cleric Intuition. I feel like this is just a really good spirit buff. Also, raising agility is, immensely important. Just in general, honestly, this is just a really good support ability. And man, if she just had her second mastery and her dream enhancement, I feel like she would be definitely higher on this list. She's honestly really good. Like, her kit is just really good. I feel like she has potential, but it's really going to depend on what they do as far as, what her 140 gets, the buffs, aside from like a skill buff that she would get. And I've seen like through other units that they've done a double upgrade. So like a character, gets to 120, they upgrade a skill on the in-between before they get to that 120, that final tier, when they're at 115. So they could enhance a specific skill that I'm going to talk about just in the future. But nonetheless, defend, really good, counter all damage, reduce damage taken from all of them. Paladin's Guard, something else you can kind of go into. Honestly, all her counters are pretty good, but I would probably have to recommend just outright defend if you want to try and go up against magic. But she's one of those characters that you can definitely take both ways. She has ways of giving herself regen. She can inflict disable, which is honestly pretty good. Now, this is the skill that I was talking about. Now, you can already see that it dispels re-raise, which is pretty good. It's an AoE as well, so that's something else to kind of keep in mind. And it's one of those skills where it's like it doesn't necessarily rely on it being a guaranteed hit, just that 30% hit chance. So you can just, build off of that with accuracy. I believe Ice has good accuracy cards outside of like maybe some job cards you can possibly go into. But it's mainly the stop. I would love to see this skill get enhanced, and she can just be the stop queen. Like, that would be really, really good. The fact that it's an AoE, if you could just get this to land, like I feel like I've talked about it enough in my physical tank video. Stop is really bad. Like, you do not want that to happen. Talisman, something else, and this is for allies as well. Really powerful. Like, she can just make your team extremely tanky against magic damage, especially if you can just stack AoE, unit attack resist, whatever it is that you can get outside of that is going to be really, really good. She also has barrier breaks, dispels protect. Just off of one skill, the modifier is not too bad either, but 9 times out of 10, she's probably just wanting to go into Judgment Blade. I don't feel like anything like a barrier or protect is really going to matter when you can just stop everybody. Really powerful skill. Outside of that, full break, something else that's extremely good. The attack, magic, defense. We talked about this when it came down to, I think, Dialdo. Like I said, just being able to decrease spirit, I think is really, really cool just for whoever she's running with. If you're running, you know, magic units outside of maybe a Velis, because I feel like that's probably like universal. Also, Royal Guard's protection, magic barrier, I believe. Yeah. And this is for your allies as well. So you can just see like she has a theme of just really being good against magic. She just doesn't have like the survivability that I feel like she needs. And yeah, but outside of that, like I said, just a lot of good stuff. So I'm really hoping to just see something for Final Fantasy Tactics, just specifically for this girl. Like, I really want to see her pop off in the future. Outside of that, she does have Paladin, obviously Taunting Blade, something you can do. Saintly Wall, of course, Saintly Healing as well. Just depends on, like I said, that healing power up. And interesting enough, she does have Curative Prayer, which is something that is pretty good, I would have to say. Outside of that, Calamity Guard is probably the better skill here. This is going to reduce damage taken for all allies, like giving you like a, you know, a barrier or whatever. The nullification, of course, is always really good. But yeah, Calamity Guard, really powerful. And as well as her Limit Burst, like Confusion can be bad. Like it definitely can, but I feel like it's like worse than Berserk in my eyes. Like, they're not going to take increased damage. There's a chance that they could possibly hit, you know, an ally or something like that. But Berserk is definitely better. Like I said, just the fact that they, like I said, that increased damage that they're going to take and, you know, kind of shuts down their ability to use skills. It's like a nerfed version of Disable, but nonetheless, still, like, it's something. I mean, the potency on it's pretty good. So I can definitely see them possibly upgrading this skill just in general. I do feel like I'd rather have Judgment Blade enhanced, like, in all honesty. It's probably her best skill just in general, but she was definitely somebody I wanted to mention. Like, you could possibly use her for, you know, being a physical tank or whatever, but just from her kit alone, you can see there's just a lot that just caters to that magic defensive kind of build. And the fact that she can remove re-raise, I can see her going up against the young Helena setup, like, to a degree. I mean, she runs with physical units as well, so maybe not, but nonetheless, I don't know. We'll have to see what they do with her. And yeah, she's definitely, until she gets that Dream Enhancement, on the bottom of the list. Next up, we're looking at Whisper, and yeah, mentioned her in the previous video as well, so I'm not really going to talk too much about her. I do feel like at this point, she's been in the game for a long time, and like I said, that other video was just way too damn long. You can see her resistances, her outright protection break. Like I said, something that you definitely want to, you know, go into. The second master ability is really good as well. Yeah, Divine Shelter. You want to definitely get this off. Maybe use like a TMR or something that she can kind of go into to, you know, just give her some AP, because she's definitely hungry for that. Providence of Light is probably what you're going to be going into as far as magic resist. You can also go into Divine Protection. But like I said, outside of that, man, Whisper is just kind of straightforward. Low tier tank on the magic side. I feel like she's possibly better for physical, but Dark does have means like you know, have Dwayne's attack card, gives magic resist. You can also use Omega as far as magic resist, you know, have one on your main, one on your sub, and she'd be pretty good to go. You just have to worry about her spirit, maybe use like Freezies or something, but yeah, nonetheless, that's Whisper in a nutshell. Now, next up, this is probably going to be immensely debatable. I feel like, honestly, like the rest of the list is going to be like highly debatable. I don't feel like I'm gonna have like a, you know, everyone agree with this list just in general, but I'm just going off of like what I've heard, what I've seen, and I guess how I feel in general. And Dialdo, I do feel like, just from what I've heard, I don't have the character, but I've talked to a couple of people in the Discord, and from, like I said, the information that I received, he seems like he can be a magic tank. Like, he can take some hits, like he's not going to die immediately. And I do kind of feel like it's going to revolve more around like AoE resistance, unit attack resistance, just like things that you can stack on top of him. He does have things like Mage's Protection, increasing his spirit, his magic resistance. Like I said, Lightning Spirit Blessing for the lightning resist, depending on who you're going up against. Still does have the Beacon True Silence that you're more or less definitely going to want to use over one of the two. So it's just one of those situations where it's like, I don't know, man. He does have Magic Reflex. He does have Still Ephemeral, but I'm just not 100% sure how well he does against magic, because I don't have the character. So I feel kind of comfortable putting him this low. But at the end of the day, I'll have to leave that in you guys' hands. Maybe you can just let me know in the comment section if you use them that way, or if you like, went up against Magic teams enough to have like valuable information. But for the time being, this is where he's gonna have to be. He's more or less just better off being a physical tank, and yeah, I do feel like he was worth mentioning nonetheless, and he's definitely better than the other two. And next up we have Rain. I almost forgot about this character, like, to be 100%. Like, it's not that I don't have him. I don't just have him built up. I don't use fire like at all. I can't even use fire in arenas. So yeah, easily forgettable, but he is honestly pretty good. He has the AoE resist, has the spirit, so that's always, awesome. Agility, AoE resist, just, really good things. Elemental resistance as well. And just a plethora of stuff to just really do well against magic damage. This is something else that I think he absolutely needed, so he probably wouldn't be on the list without it, but nonetheless, and in all honesty, just a lot of stuff. Mage's Protection, Divine Protection. I'm not 100% sure like how bad he is with AP or anything like that, but I guess you could go into Red Mage lore if he, is hurting that bad for it. Nonetheless, does have Sword Guard as well as Magic Reflex. And outside of that, honestly, like, his main kit is honestly kind of disappointing. Like, just, I haven't looked at this guy in so long, but Soul Prominence is something. It's a pretty good modifier on there if, you're not like, going up against somebody that can tank magic damage pretty well. Flaming Impact is pretty good. Chance to inflict slow, previous reasons, extremely good if it lands. Astral Guard was immensely important to him. It was his only means of getting hate, but yeah, also reduces the magic damage taken, so nonetheless you're gonna probably want to use that just in general. Undermine as well. Like, honestly, man, it's crazy to say this, but his sub main job is better than his main job almost, like, if not like just in general. Like, I'm looking at all his skills, like, oh man, this guy is kind of all over the place, and it's kind of sad because Red Mage has some good stuff. Obviously, jamming thrust is really good. Having a means of healing can be really good. Sleep for, evasive units if they're they have like a weakness to that element. And then, things like arm break, you can still like utilize. Divine healing as well, something that he can definitely go into. But his limit break, honestly, is probably like the better thing here, like, bar none. The regen, really good. I think this raises like his magic or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. Decreases spirit against whoever gets hit by it, as well as a fire imperil, which is always immensely good. I mean, any kind of like imperil's obviously going to be really good, but honestly, man, just really underwhelming. I almost want to put him underneath Dialdo, like, to be completely fair. And honestly, I feel like Rain is just in a good position just because he has like really good units he can run with. Shalze, Soul. I don't think that he can run really well with evasion. Like, I don't think he gets like the buff from Yuffie's card or anything like that, so I can't really speak, as far as like how that goes or anything. But honestly, just like kind of underwhelming character. But we're just talking about pure just magic damage, and obviously like him not going up against a water team, I do feel like he can hold up like well enough, and his cost, not being like, cost 100 or 90 or something like that. Not really much to say about the guy, honestly, but yeah, he's here, I guess. And who I definitely feel like is ranked above him is going to be Warrior of Light. Talked about him previously, but once again, he gets the initial hate. The magic resist is really good. The defense, like, they kind of just like spread his stuff out all over the damn place. The healing power, the HP, universally good. Things to look at in here, definitely Dragon Lore. Quelling Chaos can be something you can go into. Providence of Darkness, something you can definitely go into. Does have the Magic Guard as well, so yeah, he's another one of those units I feel like can really benefit from just the overall team that he has access to. Also, his limit break, I don't know if I mentioned it, but yeah, it does give him the Protecting Shell, so that's pretty good, I would have to say. Also, the self-heal that he can get whenever his HP drops below 40%. But yeah, definitely a character that I feel like is just in a really good like situation. Obviously, Bartz, young Helena, somebody that he can definitely run with. Wing Stern, Starlight. There's a lot of good units in Light right now, so you probably won't even really use him, like, to be fair, but nonetheless is a good magic tank. He does have the means of tanking damage really well, so I definitely feel like he was worth mentioning. Like, I guess this is like the theme of the magic tank video. And coming up next, we have Charlotte. Now, Charlotte is honestly really good. Like, she got the Core Ruin enhancement. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but the enhancement to her limit break I think is immensely important. So once again, we're looking at the initial hate that she gets. She gets the spirit, the HP as well. Something bigger is definitely, like, she gets the defense, which is pretty good. That's definitely good. But yeah, we're definitely looking at the slash and the magic resistance. I feel like is pretty important. Once again, like I said, characters like Starlight, who deals slash and magic damage, you know, just really good for going up against stuff like that. Now, I'm not 100% sure how well she does against young Helena, just because, I mean, 9 times out of 10, if you're fighting her, you're probably fighting Bartz as well, because that combo is just so good. Like, if you can get Bartz to get that follow-up attack buff going, maybe use Wing Stern alongside young Helena, it's probably going to just chew everybody up. But yeah, it's really tough to say. Nonetheless, in general, a really good character. Things to look at: Protector's Pride, the debuff resistance is always really good. Noble Heart for the HP and the spirit. You can go with Thief Lore for previous mentioned reasons. Depends on the map. Maybe if you want to use her to blitz, but you have to keep in mind this is also going to raise her agility. So if you're trying to maybe buff her with somebody else before she moves, this is just something you definitely want to try and pay attention to, and make sure that she's not moving ahead before anybody else, because she's probably going to move out of range of receiving a buff. And she's also somebody I would have to say that does struggle with AP, but I can't really recommend using this. Like, honestly, I feel like as long as she can get her initial buffs that we're going to talk a little bit about, that's really all she needs. Outside of that, like I said, you know, just have a build that just gives her as much survivability as possible. Like, they're going to need to go through her unit attack resist, her AoE, her defense, her spirit, her protect, her shell. She has a lot of things that I feel like can cover her defenses pretty well, but yeah, I wouldn't worry so much about her attacking. Like I said, we'll talk about all the other stuff here in a second. As far as her counters go, you're definitely more or less using Abiding Resolve, just because of the chance to counter magic damage is also going to increase her spirit. Outside of that, as far as her skills go, we're definitely looking at Attract Wall. The first thing she will go into, and something you definitely need her to go into, this is also going to be a means of raising her hate, giving her more debuff resistance, increasing the elemental resistance as well. So pretty powerful, honestly, really good. Must have, honestly. Glorious Armor. Ooh, got 3 upgrades, and this is one of those things I was talking about that they could do for Agrias. Now, Noble Armor got upgraded to Glorious Armor, and then they upgraded it again. So would love to see something like that add on to something that is already really good for the Agrias's kit, and just make it better. Like, really. And something else, like I said, you know, with the Core Ruin upgrades and stuff, I would imagine if Tactics does rerun, they need to definitely do the Core Ruin thing for those characters immediately. That way, like, I don't feel like it's going to be as much pressure from the community for them to run it again. Like, especially because it just seems like they don't like to run that event. Nonetheless, Glorious Armor, increasing her defense, her spirit, giving her a protecting shell, also giving her regen. So healing power up, going to be pretty important. Just really, really good skill, like, nonetheless. Lightning Strike is one of those skills that you definitely want her to go into. This is a Lightning Imperil, also reducing their counter chance. Like I said, it's just one of those situations like Swift Punishment. You might want to turn it off. It really depends on like what you like really want her to do, because the decrease in agility is really good. But I feel like if she's going up against a team, especially like if you're trying to fight like a tank, if you can get that Lightning Imperil, man, that can really sometimes just make the difference in getting a kill off. The damage modifier is also extremely good. She also has the Grandshelt Wall, which is going to increase all attack resistance. Honestly, like I said, as long as she's going into the Glorious Armor, she's going into the Attract Wall, and this is not going to affect anything, you can leave it on. It's not going to be that big of a deal, but you need those previous two, like, hands down. Now, she does have a guaranteed hit with Surge Strike. You could use this. I'm just not 100% sure, like, how, like, effective this is. She does have a support ability that raises her attack and her strike attack. So you can take this route. Once again, it really depends on the cards that she has access to. But, yeah, that's there. And Countdown. It's just one of those, like, sub jobs I feel like is probably better for, like, manual, because Doom is pretty bad. Like, if you can inflict doom on someone and so, like, you know, be able to survive, obviously, yeah, it's pretty much done, because I don't think there's any way to like get that off. Now, I do use Thief mainly for sneak attack, because I feel like this is really good. The potency is really good. It's a guaranteed hit from behind, also a guaranteed critical hit, which is pretty good. Decreases slash resist. The only thing that kind of sucks about it is that the range is not that good, but I mean, at the end of the day, they want you to be behind the unit to get that damage increase regardless. So nonetheless, really good skill, and I do feel like, you know, things like still time are really good for PvE or like manual use. The only thing I would say is like turn off Snipe Dagger. Like, depending on the map, you do not want her to use that, just because it's like the damage potency is like okay, but you want her to use other skills. You want that Lightning Imperil, or maybe you want to use Swift Punishment to lower the agility. So yeah, I would turn that off. I don't know about like Still Vision. They're not going to use Still or anything like that. Shadowcast is something I probably would turn off. I don't know. It really depends on the map, because if it's affecting, like I said, those main two buffs, it's just probably not worth it. Now, the upgrade to Protector's Holy Judgment is ridiculous. This skill is really, really good. Her limit break, it's going to lower attack, magic, it's going to increase her HP, her defense, her spirit, her single target resist, and then it also gives an HP recovery at a 50% HP loss. So I do feel like this is pretty important. The single target resistance alone just makes this so powerful, even if it is only for 2 turns. Like, nonetheless, this upgrade is probably like one of the more ridiculous ones that I've seen, like, in general. But yeah, definitely something I feel like she needed, and another reason why I had to say, like, you know, if they do the dream enhancement, you know, stuff for Final Fantasy Tactics, they definitely need to just get the core ruin stuff out of the way, do it all, you know, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and just upgrade those Final Fantasy Tactics characters, and we won't have to worry about it anymore. But yeah, really, really good skill. And Charlotte, honestly, is just one of my favorite characters. I think she's probably the first tank that I ever got, because I didn't get Mott until like late last year, like literally sometime in December. So Charlotte was like my main tank for like a cool minute, and I really do like her. I think she has a really awesome design, just a cool character in general. And with all the upgrades that she did get, now she feels more like a cost 90. I don't feel like it's as crazy to say like, oh, she's cost 90, because beforehand didn't really feel like it. And I feel like physical damage has always been something that's been more important. Okay, now we're starting to reach the end of the video. So coming in at number 2, we have Celes. Celes is definitely not as good as she used to be. Her second mastery ability, honestly, is just not that good. The slash resist is good, but the missile resistance is like, I'm really confused about this. Like, I don't understand why they did this to her. I really wish this was magic resistance, just because like it would have made sense. The spirit increase is like not that good either. The HP is really good. The dream enhancement is honestly really good. The healing power up, single target resistance. The upgrade to undefeated, it's just, yeah, it's that missile attack and the spirit increase is just not, it's not good, honestly. Still one of my favorite characters, honestly, probably like outright one of my favorite characters in general, especially being a water main. I do feel like she has been replaced with Faris, though, I'm not gonna lie. Nonetheless, like I said, we're looking at Undefeated General's Resolve. This is definitely something you're gonna want to use, giving her that initial hate, the defense and the spirit. Really good. You can use Providence just for that fire resistance. Magic resist is really good as well, and Mage's Protection, previous mentioned reasons. Now, when it comes to Celes, like, you could use Magic Reflex, but I would have to say don't, just because if you're trying to use Runic, it's not going to really help if she reflexes it, because Runic won't pop off because she's not getting hit. Therefore, you're leaving your allies open for an attack pretty much. So you definitely go for Magic Guard. You can go for the Rune Guard, but Magic Guard, just because you're more or less going to be using her for, you know, magic tanking, and you're getting like more of a potency from it. But I mean, like I said, it just really depends on how you're trying to use her. Rune Guard is more universal, and you're only losing out on like what, 15? So maybe it's not that big of a deal, but yeah, don't use Magic Reflex. Outside of that, we're looking at Undefeated General's Pride. This is going to also increase her hate, her single target resist, as well as giving her damage absorption. and that's pretty straightforward, to be completely honest. Sleep Blade is also something that's pretty good. And next up, we're looking at Runic Blade. Probably the only thing that's like setting her apart from just any other unit in the game. She's the only one who has the Runic ability. This is going to give her Protect and Shell, and it gives her the ability to absorb attacks that are reflectable. Now, the issue with Runic is characters like Soul, I would imagine Helena's the same. There's just some characters that can just get past this, and I don't understand why they did that, because it's only for like what, 3 turns. It can only reflect 2 attacks, and like I said, there are some skills honestly like where she'll like do it for herself, but it'll still hit your allies. It's just, I don't know, man. They really nerfed Celes like really bad, especially like it's just mainly with the units that they've been throwing out. And on top of that, you really have to cater to her magic resist. You have to cater to her spirit like heavy. They just did not do enough for her. Like I said, her second mastery ability is so disappointing, but yeah, still one of my favorite characters nonetheless. But yeah, I definitely had to just, you know, throw that out there. Outside of that, you can use her sub main for Waterga. I guess you could do this. It has cast time, so I probably wouldn't. Kurata is probably the most appealing thing that's in here. Maybe for guild battle, she may have taken too much damage. So on that second, you know, go around, you know, she'll have some time to heal. Just keep in mind that this is going to affect Runic. It's going to affect her going into undefeated. So something to definitely kind of be careful of. And it's only going to heal one person. So me personally, I don't even use this. Now, Spellblade you can use mainly for the magic resist. I feel like if you need her to maybe move toward an ally and not just like run forward and go crazy and get, you know, blitzed by whoever, it's going to be pretty good. Like I said, the spirit increase, magic resist are things that she really needs. I wish that this was tied to something else. Like, honestly, the magic barrier is also pretty good. But yeah, I really do wish that this was like things that she had in her main job. But I mean, you can't have it all. I mean, at least it is an option for sure, and something you may consider. Like I said, really just depending on the map. What I do preferably use is Red Mage. Jamming Thrust I feel like is really powerful. Pretty much like skills that have activation time, like if they're trying to cast something on the enemy team, you can just hit them with this. It's going to lower their spirit, cancel their skill, so they just wasted their, you know, turn or whatever. Good potency on it. Sleep is really good. Characters like Yuffie or, you know, anybody that really like has like a weakness to sleep, I've seen this land at a decent clip. It's not guaranteed or anything, obviously, but nonetheless, if she doesn't have the accuracy to hit somebody, she'll go right into this since she doesn't have guaranteed hits anyway. Put them to sleep, and that completely nullifies their evasion or their luck or anything like that, and that's just a free hit in all honesty. And Cura, to me, like, it's not as high of a potency of a heal, but it's a, you know, opportunity of healing more than one person, you know, more than just herself. So I do feel like that's also kind of worth like looking at. Everything else, like Asuna you can leave on, but Water I definitely would turn that off. And her limit break is not that bad. It's going to increase all attack resistance, so, you know, it's going to help her be tanky. It's an AoE, good potency on it. Just, yeah, something, like I said, it's just another skill, another thing that she can go into. But yeah, nonetheless, man, yeah, Celes is definitely falling off. It's really kind of sad. So, I don't know. There's nothing else that I can really think that they do for her. I mean, the dream ability is already, you know, in the game. I don't really see what an upgrade to her limit break could really do, unless it just like went crazy with like magic resist, spirit. Like, she needs more of that, like, to be brought back into the meta, I would think. Like, she's still in the meta. I still use her, like, personally, but she's just not as good as she used to be, honestly. These new units are becoming more and more increasingly difficult to keep up with for units that, you know, just, I don't know, just came out at the wrong time, I guess. But nonetheless, like I said, still a unique character. She still has her use, and, you know, there's certain maps for PvE, I guess you can also use her in. But, you know, her mainly being a PvP character, not, you know, really all that useful for guild raid or anything, just kind of, it really kind of hurts. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it was something I was considering, like, maybe Charlotte is better, it was something I was considering, and she may possibly be, honestly, because like I said, Runic, even though there's only like one character that can outright get rid of it, as far as Dark Fina, a lot of people can just outright get past it to where like it doesn't really matter. And then like I said, things like Protect and Shell aren't as good as they used to be. So it's more so, like I said, definitely relying on her single target resistance. The healing power is really good. Didn't get any AoE, but Water has really good AoE cards, as well as Perrine can raise AoE resistance. But somebody, honestly, I feel like can benefit from running with Ferris. So if you have that kind of a setup, maybe you can run Glassy, Ferris, and Celis. I don't know how good that team would be, but yeah, nonetheless, top 2. And as for number 1, I had to put my girl Freyavia here. Now, Freyavia is also one of my favorites, has been, I think, ever since she was pretty much in the game. I do remember having her on Brave Exvius, but I wasn't really all that familiar with her. I just thought she looked like, you know, obviously like an appealing character. Kind of like a, you know, like an elf or something like that. Nonetheless, mastery ability has the magic resist, the agility buff I think is extremely good. The HP is really good. The dream ability is really good. She got the spirit that I feel like she was really hurting for, an increase in AoE resistance, and the Spellville blade upgrade, really good. We'll look at that here in a minute. Nonetheless, things we're looking at is I think Wind Spirit Ward. This pairs extremely well with her card. If you're running her with maybe Reagan, he can also buff that wind resistance, and I forgot what else he buffs. I know it's like light and dark or something like that, but nonetheless, pairs extremely well for just going up against wind units, and she can tank damage really good. You can use Freezies, you can also use Bahamut, and it's just gonna be honestly really easy to get her magic damage resistance to just nullification. Like, in all honesty, it's really potent. You can also go into Savior's Protection to increase more magic resistance, also the debuff resistance. And everything else I'm kind of good on. Emerald Echo, yeah, I'm kind of good on that. Like, just for me personally, I wouldn't go into it. Things outside of that, you can definitely use Magic Guard for obvious reasons. Regenerator is honestly really good. The healing power up grants her that regen, a chance to counter the damage. And this honestly is the one that I use like preferably, but like I said, you can definitely go into Magic Guard and it might be just as good. I have no idea. Regenerator, to me, the increasing healing power is just more usable for her main kit. As far as her skills go, like I said, she does have Bio Blade. Silence Blade is really important. Obviously, you're going to be targeting magic users, and you know, if you're not going up against like a wind team or something like that, Silence shuts down magic users like outright, and she will use this at a high potency. Definitely will use this. Wazaga Blade, something else you can definitely go into, dispelling debuffs for herself, increases wind killer, high potency, pretty potent. And her attract barrier is definitely something that you will always leave on. This is going to reduce magic damage like at a high clip, also increases her hate. It's honestly crazy to say this, but she's like the only character, like I just now realized this, that doesn't have like that native hate unless you have her card. Like, that is the only way that she's going to be able to just like outright, you know, start with hate without having to go into the attract barrier. But the funny thing about that is that she honestly does not have a lot of buffs. This is the first thing that she's going to go into regardless, and I don't use her like without her card. So it's kind of weird, like a weird situation. Like, she has like the hate without having to buff. I don't know. I feel like if you have Freyavia, you have her card, like hands down. And it caters to, like I said, all this stuff that she's really going to want. So overall, I just had to make like a special exception for her, honestly. And just how good she tanks magic damage, I just don't really feel all that bad for like putting her obviously in the #1 spot above all the other characters that were on the list. Spellville Blade is the skill that gets increased. Obviously the wind killer, extremely good. Guaranteed hit with absorbing damage, also increases her defense and her spirit, extremely powerful. And it could have been like, you know, something that got like the taunting blade like increase or something, like kind of like armor crush or something, and you know, had the hate on there. So that kind of does suck, because when we look at her sub main job, that's where her taunting spell is. I don't know why they did this. Also where her magic resist is, because like I don't want to run her like that. Like, in all honesty, I would have been okay with them putting things like Blizzaga Blade, maybe Bio Blade, Blizzard Blade, like not silence blade is where it needs to be, but like, you know, those other skills, and had the taunting spell and the magic resist on her main job. Like I don't know why they did this, but I mean, you can run this. It just really depends on the situation, but nonetheless, like I said, when it comes down to Fryevia, I just want her to mess up people's rotations, have the hate enough to just get them all toward her, and that way I can just have like whoever my third unit is that's not buffing her, that's buffing themselves, and just, you know, my DPS or whatever, to just kind of chip away at everyone. Maybe they engage first, they get hit once, but then after that they start to target Fryevia. That's kind of just like my overall scheme with her. So I don't ever feel like I don't know, like I needed taunting spell or like wish I was using it. Now you can use green mage. I'm not even going to talk about it because I don't recommend it, but I do recommend you use white mage. Now I say this like very specifically because I would turn honestly everything in here off except for Raze and full life. Honestly, like I said, I don't like to use her because she does have that support minded like setup, kind of like Soul, where it's like if they have a chance to heal, or they have a chance to, you know, use a TMR that has a heal and a barrier, they see their allies are in a, you know, crappy spot, they will try to prioritize the heal or just like, you know, being a support over a DPS. And I feel like as long as you're using her this way, she will, you know, be able to tank the damage. Like I said, that's why I try to use Regenerator, so that she can have like some means of just sustaining herself outside of the Spellville Blade. And there are plenty of times, like I said, where full life just got like my DPS or just somebody else back into the fight. She's able to tank the damage so that she's not, you know, gonna die outright before she has the time to cast it. And like I said, things like Curata, I don't really like to have on. The Protecting Shell, things I just don't like to have on, because she will try to put this on other people. And I want her to be a tank. I want her to just put her hate on, move forward. Hey, if you have to use Raze or you have to use full life, you know, go for it. But nonetheless, everything else, I can't recommend you use. And something else, like I said, her limit break is pretty good. She gets the decrease in AP consumption. High potency definitely needs to be upgraded. Like, these characters definitely need some love, I'm not gonna lie. People are waiting on characters like Esther to get their 140. And like I said, you know, they definitely do need it, but I want to see the Core Ruin upgrade like on more characters, like in all honesty, just to see like, you know, what happens with them. And I feel like once, you know, characters like Agrius and other characters, like I said, they start to, you know, get this stuff rolled out a little bit more, like enough to actually like affect this like tier list or whatever, I will definitely, you know, revisit all the, you know, previous top 10s or whatever that I've come out with. But something else, like I said, they definitely need to add more magic tanks, because I didn't realize like there was not enough to even make a top 10. It was just like a top 8, I think. So yeah, there's that. But in general, I do feel like Fryevia is comfortably sitting at the #1 spot. That's not really saying much, just because, like I said, there's more physical damage dealers, and in a time where, like I said, there's just like job cards, characters are being mixed up, physical tanks are just more universally like better. Like, in all honesty, like there aren't really a lot of magic damage dealers that are like that terrifying beyond, like I said, Helena. And it's probably, I don't know if it's gonna just stay that way or whatever, but I feel like it's always comfortably been that way. Physical damage dealers have always been king, and magic honestly it's like not bad, but I've seen people run supports over like having like an outright like magic damage dealer or magic DPS outside of like Starlight. But I mean, she's like an evasive DPS, and she also deals slash damage, so there's that as well. But nonetheless, this is the list. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know if you agree, disagree, how you would have ranked them. Maybe I forgot somebody. I have no idea. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope to catch you in the next one. Take it easy.